Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Edge. Mentioned, everyone's coming in late this week, covering for Blake while he's on vacation in Hawaii with his family. I'll be doing that through tomorrow, and then Blake will be back on Monday. Go and take a look and see what's come out as far as news. Not really anything big, although the euro has come up to the levels that we were talking about, initially on the short. Now, yesterday, I don't know if some of y'all caught that, we were, looking to short on any bounces toward 1137. Then I've made it clear that don't get greedy, because I thought we would start to turn, as I thought the SPOOs would run out of gas, but they didn't. SPOOs propelled, but the euro did run out of gas, and some of us really were able to go in and jump in and out of the euro 2, if not 3 times, as we came right back down sub 111. So we made a nice little chunk of change day trading this market. But now we're back up here, and we've actually come to the levels that we're looking at, that 1137. And so I just got short just a little while ago. And although this is a little bit, even though I'll be day trading scalping, it's really a little bit longer term play. I'm expecting a nice bounce back for NFP. So really this move is more about catching about 120 pips. But I'm going to, just like yesterday, I'm going to be moving in and out of the market. Yesterday was a perfect example. We ran out of gas right as we came up to that 1130. And in the chat rooms we discussed it. Was able to jump out, for at least for some of those, should have been able to jump out twice, if not 3 times. And one of the moves I ended up jumping out at, covered the last half of the position at 1102, and the market bounced to what got as low as 11, and then we bounced right back up to what I think was like 1114 or something like that. But then we turned around and quickly went sub 111 before we regained ourselves, and the market regained its composure and then kind of just vacillated on either side. Not a whole lot at that point afterwards, just kind of dancing around. And now this morning, so you had a chance to go in and get yourself some nice scalping change. And then this morning, we've kind of reasserted ourselves to the upside with the euro, which in a sense makes a little bit of sense, considering how the SPOOs have been able to retain most of their gains, although they're pulling back a little bit. The SPOOs have completely surprised how well they've done. I thought it was really pretty silly about those people that were looking for 1940, because that's a UK issue. It's their problem. It doesn't have anything to do with the US. And as I said, the US is still may not be perfect, but I'll tell you what, it's in exceptionally great shape compared to the rest of the globe, which is really very weak. So we're able to go and get a little bit of a bounce back here in the euro, but I think that the euro is going to have, and the eurozone are going to have their own problems. I do expect the bounce back NFP number, and why I think that the upside is going to be rather limited. But I'm looking at it in an overall scope of a bigger trade. So just like we did yesterday is a perfect example how we want to go in and trade, or how I'm going to be trading the euro. I mean, if I put on those trades right there, let's say we caught it right close to the top yesterday at 1128 and just kept on hanging on, well, I'd be underwater right now for about 15, 16 pips. But like I said, dancing in and out of the market. One thing I like about the euro is because it trades quite well as far as for day traders throughout the day. It's very liquid, so you're able to go and take advantage of that. So here I am adding on after it's already moved even higher than what I initially came in, and not to mention I've also got some nice change in my pocket, taking advantage of the moves that were yesterday in the cable. Also, I mean not the cable, I mean the euro, but I was keeping my eye also on and focus on the cable. Cable went right into our zone. The pink zone we were talking went dead center, half into the pink zone. Matter of fact, almost made it to perfectly to the 35.50, just a hair below it. And if you took that trade and we kept pushing, talking about it, you caught yourself about 150 pips. So that was a trade that we were really stalking and we're really taking our time. and stating, hey, look, it's coming up into the 38%, hang on, wait, it's probably going to go right into the middle of this pink zone. And it actually went well into the middle of that pink zone and almost hit the 35.50 for the 50%. And really a very nice trade of about more than 150 pips. And all done within less than 24 hours. We're actually rallying off of that pullback. Fantastic trade that we were scouting out on the cable. I don't even trade cable, but that was one that we were being patient because of the big moves that we saw on cable, and that was just absolutely huge. So we'll go on and move into the charts. We'll see what's coming up today as far as events, economic reports. And crude's doing really well, still holding up. It's in a quiet market, but it's holding up relatively well. I still think we're going to have to work lower in crude. We did pop up yesterday and get one little squeeze up towards 50 bucks. Still think it's rather overdone up here. But like I said, you know, when the market gets like that, I don't try and force it. I like to see a lot more, I wouldn't say volatility, but a lot more moving about intraday. So for right now, just, you know, trade a few markets, find the markets that are kind of giving you that advantage. And right now we're seeing that in FX. Whereas in crude, it's a little bit of a tight market. We're getting some swings, but those swings are happening right after an economic, not economic report, but one of the reports. So as we come into the U.S. session, let's take a look here. We're going to have Canadian GDP. We're going to have jobless claims, Canadian producer prices. So that's about it at 8:30 Eastern. As far as the U.S. is just going to be the jobless claims. We do have shy PMI. That's going to be at 9:45 Eastern. And Reuters polls for 50.7. That's about it. So it's going to be a dearth of economic activity as far as reports coming into the U.S. session. So all we have is jobless claims and shy PMI. We can look at what happened overnight. Oh, hang on. French consumer spending was down a little bit more than expected. German unemployment, let's take a look, was also down. And they're only expecting down minus 1.0. They actually got down minus 6.0. And UK GDP came in right in line. Once again, as I've stated before, usually normal periods, I'm talking about outside of this, you know, the whole Brexit thing. You know, these economic numbers, if you're trading during the European session, they're going to go on and move the market. But in this type of situation, you know, the levels end up taking a far greater precedence than actually the economic activity of these reports that are coming out. Yeah, Daryl says on the east we may have a double top on the hourly. Some pullback won't be surprising given how far and fast we've rallied. Man, that S&P, I'm just like taken aback. I mean, you know me, I'm a big bull on the U.S. economy, and I'd say bull as far as the way everybody else, you know, perceives it. I'm just stunned by to the extent that it came back. But yeah, I think you have a point here. I think we have a little double top up here on this 2073 and probably pull back to around the 2062-ish area. Kevin says your chart's not showing. Yeah, I know. We're going to move into the chart. We always talk, I mean, if you follow us here on the European crossover, we always talk about what's happening news-wise, and then we move into the charts. And obviously, if we're doing a 2-hour show, we have a whole heck of a lot more time. So the news kind of gives us kind of like I wouldn't say like a talking point, but kind of like a narrative of what we're looking at as we move into that. So I like to cover the news and see what economic reports we might be looking at, kind of give us an idea of what may be coming up on the horizon as we roll into the session. James says BOE Carney speaks at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Nick says Boris Johnson confirms he will not run for leader of the UK Conservative Party. So, as I said, coming into the U.S., it appears like the only thing we've got is going to be jobless claims at 8:30 Eastern, and that's it. Other than shy PMI, which will come out later, which will be at 9:45 Eastern. We do have Canadian prices, Canadian producer prices, and Canadian GDP. So let's go back here and we'll get into the charts. Okay, as I mentioned before, here is, we got the euro right into this area we were talking about, this 1137, and we're looking at it on the, excuse me, on the 2 hour, but for right now we're just, oh, doggone it, I messed up my chart here for the 30-minute, I'll have to close that, well, I'll have to open it up later, but it's going to cause me an issue if I try and do it right now, so I'm just going to move this over here. Happened to me the last time when I accidentally closed out my yen, and then I ended up saving everything, and it saved it with me erasing everything on my yen, so I'll make sure I take care of that. Excuse me. But let's go in, well, they're going instead of 30-minute, obviously we'll take a look at the euro on the 2 hours since I just closed out the chart, and in order for me to do that, I have to reload the charts back up, and no use going through all that, so we'll just take a look at it on the 2 hour. So we come up here, we've talked before about this 1131. What we were looking at yesterday was the 1137. And we talked about on the way up, here's the area I think that is going to be a great area if it can make it up in here to go in short. Now the odd thing is that it's going to coincide with this most recent high, or I would call the reactionary high, which was this 1189. As I said yesterday, we're looking for a rally and looking to fade this, and I even mentioned the 1137. But I don't know if y'all saw on the regular feed, I was discussing that in the two chat rooms, which was I was not going to go in and wait. As the market looked like it was getting tired, and my thoughts were that the spoons were going to go in and run out of gas, which they didn't. But they were, pushing a little bit higher, and I thought, you know what, euro looks like it's going to run out of gas now. And I ended up getting short, and I was able to go in and catch it actually 3 different times on the short side to catch some some very nice small scalping gains, or maybe a little bit bigger than small scalping gains on the euro. But as I said before, I'm looking for from here. I'm looking for about 125 pip fallback. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm looking for is in the way I'm going to go and trade it. It doesn't mean I'm thinking here is that it can still go and rally up higher. But like I said, I'm looking for a move back, at least minimum right now, which is beyond that, is going to be this 1066. But I'm looking for really close. I'm looking for a move down here towards 1036, 1020. Now, we can go lower, but I'm thinking is at the very least we should see about 1020-ish, maybe about right in here. Go on and draw that out real quick. All things being equal, I'm looking for maybe a move potentially to here. I'll just go mark this off. So my whole thing is, like I said, I think that it's still, we're getting this pullback. And I'll kind of give you what the narrative is because most expect, I'm saying the big banks, I'm saying those with the big hands, not that they get the markets right, but I'm saying is most believe that it's going to be looking out over the course of the next 6 months, 9 months. It's going to be a tough time for the Eurozone. with this whole uncertainty business. Now we're getting a nice rebound, and that's fine. But like I said, this rebound is going to get a little bit, I'm thinking a little bit, old in the teeth, and then eventually we'll end up pulling right back down. And there are quite a few that do expect us to eventually get down to 106, 102 in the euro. And we've had, some good runs up in here, and the euro's had more than its share to advance. For us to go on and make a move to a lot of people were looking for 118, 120. Some of y'all were even talking about 124. I know you're too embarrassed to put your hands up and say, yeah, I'm one of the bozos that was looking for 124. But it's had its opportunities, which y'all know I've been fading as we've taken these rallies up in here. The night that we got up here to 16, 18, I remember a lot of people got stopped out. And I said, that very next day, we're still here, I go, the people that are short that just covered it, and I go, within 2 weeks, they're going to regret covering their shorts. And I was proven beyond right. And I was even surprised to the extent that it fell at that point, how quickly it fell. But the point is that the euro has had multiple opportunities to make a run to the upside. Fantastic breakouts. The market just falls right on its face. Fantastic, awesome, strong, technical breakout. The market falls right back on its face. We take off again. The market falls back on its face. We make another hurrah. The market falls back on its face. At some point then, people just say, you know what, enough already. This market is going lower. And when you look at the overall, this not only on a fundamentals, on a technical standpoint, but looking out, it just doesn't look well for the euro at that point. But like I said, I think that at this point, you're going to be looking for people, right or wrong, but you have to look at what the overall bigger picture is. Are going to be looking for the market to go to 106, 102. And I think a move back towards probably like 108-ish, 109 is not 109, but I'd say like 108 to take out this low and probably come in at the very minimum. I'm thinking is a move back towards 869 before you get a bounce, a real bounce. I'm saying is I think that we would come back down here. I don't know what the timeline on that one is, but I think we'll come down here and take out this low, and we'll probably get past 869, maybe like around 843 right in here, before you see a nicer bounce back. Because then you get a lot of people that get stopped out of their positions. We get a little bit more of a follow through, and then the market runs out of gas. Which will take us close to 8. I don't know if we'll make it all the way to 8. Maybe we will. So, but I think overall, it's going to be a tough time for the euro, and I just don't see where it's going to be able to mount another move. I still, as I said, I still expect a very nice NFP bounce back number, and I think that that's going to go on and keep the euro in check. Now, we talked about this yesterday, this 1118 area, and I said that that's a breakout area for the euro, and we have to see what it could do above it. You can see it was really struggling here, and that's why I wanted to do. When we got up here, I said, we're just not even getting that follow through. We're not even getting. I'm not even going to get filled at 1137, and just quickly, jumped in and out of the euro. Now we've moved up here, which is fine. We were thinking, like I said, hey, look. Someone was asking me, do you think we can even make it to 1255? I really don't see that, as I was stating, unless the NFP number were to come in below expectations. And when I say that, I'm not stating that I'm expecting the number to come in very nice, well over, I wouldn't say well over, but definitely over 200,000. So if the number came in like, let's say, 135,000, even though it's a positive number, the market is really going to look on that quite negatively. But the only way I can see that the euro really makes a good run is if the number were to come in like 60,000 or something. Then look like, whoa, the U.S. is on the weak side, and they're not going to be raising anytime soon. They won't raise into well into next year. We'll probably be looking for potentially before a raise which would be like March of next year, or even the latter part of spring. And then if you saw something like 35,000, then everybody be saying, hey, we're definitely going to slide into a slowdown. Okay, so that would kind of flip everything the other direction. But I really don't see that. I think we're going to get something closer to like 220,000. We might even get 240. But I'm saying really anything below 200 is going to be a disappointing number. I can tell you that right now. The way the market is going to perceive it, because the number that we got, even the people that weren't even believing in it, I mean, believing in the economy, even felt that number was an anomaly. And those are the people that are always bearish. So I would expect a bounce back, and I would expect the number to be over 200,000. Anything below 200,000, people are going to be kind of like, looking at it, on a negative standpoint. I would say anything below 160, it's really going to be, people are going to see it as a very big disappointment. And then obviously anything under like 125, people are going to be saying, whoa, we're getting to slow down for sure. And it's spin the market on its head. So, like I said, I think that any moves into it, and I like this area, it just happens to be that it coincides with the retracement high here, the reactionary high. We try to prefer the reactionary high be lower, that we could blow some stops. But my guess is that any moves up in here into this 1215 are going to be faded pretty well. My point is that when they do short them, as I said yesterday, these banks that are looking for much lower, like 106, 102, they're not going to be dissuaded by being down 100, 135, 150 pips. Not when they're looking for a move anywhere from 450 to about 700 pips. They're not going to get nervous when they're down 120. I mean, if they got shorted here, they're not even down. They're closer to flat. And they may have moved in and out of the market, but chances are, if they're short in this area, this 1088, well, they're down 60 pips. Well, even at 106, they're looking for 400 lower, or actually almost 500 lower. They're not going to be, shaking in their boots because they're down 65 or 70 pips. And the ones that sold down here at 110, they're down 150 and they're looking for 102. Once again, they're looking for almost 800. They're down 150. They're not shaking in their boots either. You see what I'm saying? Actually down a little over 100. They're not shaking in their boots either. So you have to look at it in perspective. It's basically the old, the way I look at it is like, the cat's away, the mice will play. So the market's going to come up here, people are going to get a little nervous and whatever, and it could do something. Obviously, if the NFP were to flip the other way, then that would really spin everything on its head. But this is what I'm looking at, is this is all falling into line. As I mentioned, I'm looking for lower. Initially, my initial test is I'm really looking for 1020. So then you're looking at about 125, 130 pips lower from here. And I'll just move in and out of the market along the way. So coming into this morning, I was flat after shorting this on some nice scalping trades 3 different times. We discussed it in the chat rooms. And now I'm ready, I'm here on the short side now again, and I'm just stepping in, getting my, toes wet. And if we move higher, then I'll add on, and then if we break lower, I'll just keep doing the same thing. Even though I'm looking for 120, I might end up catching maybe 3 or 4 times that much as we move in and out of the market, depending on how it reacts. I just think that the upside is rather limited. Andy says, great Euro analysis, Polly. I have an order to short at 1165. I fully expect to drop from these levels. You might be right on that 1165, which would run out of gas here. I think, normally you'd probably see the market blow past this, but because this was such a key reactionary level from this fall, you'll probably see a lot of people step in front of this, and that's 1189. So yeah, that 65, that's probably where 76, this whole little area here that I've talked about, see, is where I expect the market to have some trouble, right in there. They could, here's that 1151. We got that zone between 51 and 55. They can have some trouble. Like I said, we're right into that zone. They can have some trouble even here. I think what's interesting is going to be how the market reacts if we start struggling a lot here, it's going to tell you something about what the upside is and how limited that may or may not be. I'm just saying, but I don't think the market's going to be worrying. I mean, I think that like I said, nobody can predict the future. I'm just saying is we could end up being here at this level, and then maybe a week later you're thinking, wow, and we're down here, and you're like, wow, I should have gone and sold into that. So you have to weigh your own risk. I mean, obviously, like I said, my thinking is I'm just coming in here and I'm just get my feet a little wet, and if it just like yesterday, I ended up covering the rest of the entire position at 11. And on that it had a real quick bounce back of about 12 pips or something like that, maybe 13 pips. And on that one, I didn't even get short. And I'll be doggone if we didn't go sub 111, went to 1094. And that's what I'm saying. We could end up falling right here. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I wish I would have added more. But, hey, it is what it is. Like I said, one thing I like about the euro is a great back and forth action we see. It's excellent for day trading and scalping. Demetrius says, hey, Paul, the NFP is out Friday next week, not tomorrow, right? Yeah, that's correct. It's not tomorrow. It's next week. Yeah. No, I'm not talking about like, because if that was the case, I'd be saying, whoa, it's tomorrow. No, it's next week. The reason I'm mentioning the NFP, and that's an excellent point, the way you bring it up, or you're saying, wait a minute, it's next week, right? Not tomorrow, is because that's what I'm saying. The narrative is in the sense that for right now, the way I look at it, I'm expecting a nice bounce back number. So that's not till next Friday. So once again, to analogize it or make an analogy, is the mice will play while the cat's away. Because we come into next Friday, people might be saying, whoa, you know what, the NFP is going to be coming out. We're going to see a good bounce back number. And then by that time, the euro's down, let's say, I'm just using an example from here. Let's say it's down 55 pips lower. And everybody's like, you know what, I didn't think about that. Doggone it, I should have sold it there. Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to keep that narrative. Even though I'm talking about day trading, scalping, well, here's the way I look at it. I look at the market within the given day. Then I look at the market within a 2 to 3 day outlook. And then I look a little bit further out as to what's the bigger overall picture. You see what I'm saying? So if I was selling it in here, I'd be like, oh my God, now I'm really nervous. What's going to happen? Well, the NFP is not till next Friday. So these guys and gals are going to push them up higher. But one of the reasons they're up higher is because the SPOOs ran up. Now, the SPOOs ran out of gas a little bit. They're 2068.75. One of the guys here in the chat room, let's see, it was Daryl. He said, hey, we might have a double top in the SPOOs on the hourly. And it does certainly look like that at this point. And we're off about 6 handles from the higher, almost 6 handles, about 5.5 handles. That's going to take a little bit of the juice out of the euro. And you can see it kind of run out of gas here. Once again, like saying, well, what makes you think it's going to get to 120 lower? And like I said, that's been my narrative for the last couple of days. I go, okay, fine. You do what you want. I know that on any rallies back, the overall bigger picture, I'm talking about 6 months out, is, and what I just explained to you on the technicals here, is I think the Eurozone is going to have some trouble. So I think it's going to have a tough time, and ultimately the euro will eventually get lower. That's where where the big banks are looking at, hey, we're looking for 106, we're looking for 102. So I try and keep these moves, the best way I can say it, I try and keep them in perspective. So when you see this rally, you're probably saying, man, those banks, they really made a big mistake, shorting at 1036 and 1088. Well, it may look like that, but if their long-term target is 106 and 102, then a month from now, 2 months from now, they may look like, Nostradamus. And then from a very shorter term time frame, my thinking is, hey, you know what? We're going to have the same trouble. I keep that, as Mom used to say, I keep that in my little black book as far as, hey, you know what? A few months out, it's not going to look good for the euro. And then I'm looking at it, we're rallying up, I'm like, hey, you know what? NFP's coming. And I don't think it's going to do that well. I'm sorry, for the euro. That's what got me shorting yesterday and making some nice pocket change. So here we are. I'm flat, and now the market rallies up. I get up this morning. I get short the euro again. If we fall apart here, okay, well, then I'll take some change off the, off the table, make some nice little gains here. If I thought we were totally running out of gas here, I'd load the boat. But I know that there's an opportunity for the market to run up here. So if it rallies up here, okay, fine. I'm going to add some more, and I'll look eventually for the week to be coming lower as you come in towards NFP. Anything's possible. You can't guarantee anything, but I'm saying that's the way I play it. That's my perspective looking at it. I mean, I have a far shorter term perspective than Blake does. Like I said, I told you before, I'll never be the guy that caught 200 pips, 300 pips on the thing. That's just not that's not the way I play. It's not the way I trade. But I just move in and out of the market. So, I would say probably a lot more agile than most. But the good thing is that with Euro, you get a lot of two-way back and forth action. So that's it here on the Euro. We'll talk about the cable. And the cable's huge because we talked about this area all yesterday. And I said that, and I said, look, and we were scouting this for 2 days. I said, they're moving higher. And we did this work, and I came in with this zone here. I said, what, we're coming in here to the 38%. I put in this 50%. And I said, what, this is going to be a good short. And I go, but you have to wait until we get into the middle of this pink zone. Because we were doing analysis. We were doing analysis after, the wheels fell off the caboose. And we were trying to figure out where the heck is the resistance, the levels. Where are we looking at after the debacle? I mean, everything that went wrong. And so we did, we kind of put our levels in here. And I noticed this zone here. I'm thinking, what? I think this is where they're going to go. And we did some work here. We had the 38% and I put the 50%. I said, what? Well, the area that's going to be good is when they come into the zone. It didn't look like we were going to get there, but then everything started getting a little bit bullish, and everybody's starting to feel good about, hey, maybe things aren't not so bad, blah, 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 and back and forth. So on the webinar yesterday, we talked about this on Monday. And on the webinar, actually we started doing the analysis on Monday. We talked about it on Tuesday, but yesterday I said, hey, look, with the 38%, but we're moving higher. I go, they're running a little bit out of gas at 30%, but you need to be patient. I go, the place to go in and short is going to be into this pink zone. And you know how I like to color in these zones because they give a little bit more better perspective as to what the market wants to do, because it's all about the levels. And then what you do is what I do, and I don't want to put anybody's analysis down. Some people use RSI, stochastics, whatever. I even say they use monkey patterns, what I call is a little name for what you would call harmonics. Well, the way I look at it, it's all about the levels, and I'll color in the zones so I can get a better overall perspective, and then I try and increase my probabilities by using Fibonacci. So we talked about this. I go, well, you know what? I think they're going to go into this pink zone. I go, the thing about this pink zone, I go, we want to go in and short it into this pink zone. I go about the halfway point, and I go, and I don't know if they're going to make it up here, but wow, there's a 50% of this move here from 31.18 to 39.32. So lo and behold, we made it well into the halfway point of the pink zone. We almost made it to the 50% here, and I'll be doggone if the market doesn't go on and sell off about 175 pips from that area. That was a pretty doggone good trade. And the thing is I'm pointing out is because we were scouting this area. We did the analysis on Monday. We've been scouting the area since Tuesday. And yesterday we talked about it. And we've been set halfway into the zone. And I discussed this in the 2 chat rooms. So, like I said, I already said I don't trade cable. And I was trading euro yesterday, also with oil, trading some spoofs too. But I'll tell you what, if you trade cable and you miss this trade, you screwed up. You flat up screwed up. I'm not going to go on and mollycoddle you. You screwed up big time if you didn't take the short and you trade cable. I don't trade cable. But we've been looking at this. We talked about this area. We did the analysis. I came up with the zone on Monday. We started talking about it as far as an area to work into on Tuesday. Yesterday we were here. I said the halfway part of the pink zone. If you trade cable and you didn't take this trade, you screwed up. Straight up, you screwed up. because that was some nice change in a very short period. It's one thing to say, if you got into this trade and you held it over a week, blah, blah, blah. No, if you got into this trade yesterday morning, like we were talking about, or yesterday late U.S. session or mid-U.S. session, and you had the opportunity, we talked about the halfway part into this pink zone, and you trade cable and you didn't take that trade, you screwed up. Straight up, you screwed up. Because within a matter of a few hours, even not even that long, you were already up close to, actually from here, I was talking about this. This was actually, you were already up almost 100 pips within about a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, and before all was said and done, close to 200 pips, about 175 pips, and you were, if at best, maybe you were underwater, maybe 10 pips, and within a few hours you're already up. Within about 2.5 hours, you're already up 100. Obviously, if you caught most of the move, then you caught, almost 175 pips, but there's no way. I mean, that was just too good right there not to take if you trade cable. I don't trade cable, but that trade was laid out for you like nobody's business. So we're going to take a look at the dollar yen, and we talked about this. I said, I don't even know if it's going to go on and if it's going to even make it into this zone here. I wouldn't be interested, for me, I wouldn't be interested in doing anything until it got here. I'm just not. One of the things that is concerning is when you look at the SPOOs and how well the SPOOs have rallied, and the dollar yen just can't get its head out of the commode. So that's why I said that yesterday. I was pretty adamant. I don't even know if we can even make it into this zone, 358, and 375 is 38%. Honestly, I don't even know what the catalyst is going to be, because if the SPOOs rally to 2073 or 2074 and they stop everybody out and everything looks fantastic and we still can't rally, I mean, we can't even realistically challenge the high, the retracement high, or I would say the reactionary high. So it looks like they're really weighing on this thing. I don't have a good clue what, I mean, obviously it looks like he just wants to go lower, because when the SPOOs work lower, this thing is going to fall apart, and in all likelihood it's going to come down to about, initially speaking, probably right in here. Just a hair above 102, like 102.05. That's not even much, if you think about it. That's only 70 pips away. But I think that that's where this will be, I think, a key area where some people will be covering. Obviously, it looks like it really wants to just go lower at this point. But I don't even know if it'll make it, like I said yesterday. I don't think it'll make it into this zone. I think it's going to have a really tough time trying to do that. Personally, I'm not going to do anything with this pair, but I tell you what, it doesn't look good. When you look at it, where SPOOs have gone to, and this market simply cannot, move higher. We should have been able to at least challenge up in here like about 340-ish. We can't even get above 3. I mean, it looks like we may have gotten above 3 by 2 pips. We should have gone up to at least 70 pips higher. There you could say, you know what, the SPOOs are really well overdone. I think from a risk reward, it's a good area to short. So we should have been able to have made it right in there. That's what we should have made it to, at least there, which is probably close to 325. But I would have said like maybe 330-ish would have been say, you know what, in light of where the SPOOs are, you know what, I'll take a short and I'll put my stop above whatever. Not for me, but I'm just saying that if you were thinking that way, heck, we couldn't even make it up there. We can't even get above 3. This market just really looks bad. I wouldn't do anything, but I know for some of y'all that will hold longer, yeah, we're going to probably make a move to at least 102, and in all likelihood, we'll take out this area right here. I don't know what's going on here. Something's wrong because, let's see. This should be lower. I don't know what's, something's not loading up right because we went lower. But anyway, like I said, we'll come back in here. Let's see what's going on here. Something's wrong there. Yeah, because you see here, I don't know what's going on that thing. I have to reload it or something. Because you see, the low is 99. I don't know what the hell's going on there. But it still doesn't change the fact that we're still at the 102.74. And we're probably just going to go on and ultimately into breaking lower. This is on the 2 hour. I don't know why the hell it's showing that 101. But you can see here. And we're going to come down here, as I said, that's 102.05. That's where I think we're going, which is only 70 pips lower, but I think you'll see some, okay short covering around there. But ultimately, it looks like this market definitely wants to go lower. For some of those are probably weighing this and saying, wait a minute, it can't rally. You know what? The first key area is going to be this 103.30. So you'll probably have some people that are putting shorts on right now that are looking for bigger moves for us to challenge closer towards that 99. I don't know what the hell's wrong with this damn thing. Why it's, showing this low here, not showing down to 99. I'll have to look into that. So we'll go on and take a look at what's going on here with the Aussie dollar. Well, there's a euro phone. Nor she blows. That's the saying is that's why I'm I sound like a broken record. That's why, especially some of y'all being up, I'm usually not on this time. I'm on the European crossover. Those guys and gals know the way I trade. Is that, but the reason I'm trying to emphasize from a perspective standpoint is that overall, I expect the euro to go lower. So you have to be reasonable in what you think that the market can go and achieve. Now, going towards this 1118, I'd be covered on a day trade scalp. So going towards this 1118, going and hang on, let me put it here. I would look to cover right here at 1120 on the scalp trades. And doing that in the chat room too. So I told them in the chat room, I would be covering these for the scalps, and don't get greedy. So they probably have close to like, what about 20 pips, 18 pips profit or whatever. Don't get greedy, don't try and grab the last 2 pips or something like that. So we have this area here at 1118. The way the euro trades is that we're probably going to take, maybe we'll take one, excuse me, got a frog in my throat. But anyway, they might dip one more hair down here. As I said, I messed up the 30-minute chart, so I don't want to make this 2 hour into a 5-minute whatever. But yeah, that's the saying, don't get greedy. I think we made it down to 11:21. I was telling in the chat room, don't get greedy trying to grab the last pip. Just take the trade. And like I said, if we fall apart, for some of y'all that are saying, heck no, I'm looking for my 100 pips lower or my 50 pips lower, then that's fine. I'm just saying the way I trade, I'm going to let it dip in here. I'll cover it. Let's see if we can make one more run, up to the upside. And then that's the way I trade it. That's what I'm saying. Is don't get greedy trying to catch the very last pip. If it's going to give it to you and you're off one pip, forget it. I'm just saying, just take the the freaking profit. You know what I mean? That's the way that I trade. If I can grab, I mean, on one of the chat rooms, I told them I'm getting short here, and that was on the spot on 46. Well, you've got 22 pips in your back pocket. You know what I mean? Now 1118 is going to be the key area. Obviously, on the 2-hour showing which we'll call 1114, but the 1118 is the level that I'm looking at, and boom, that is boom, we're out of the trade. Boom. So that's what I'm saying is you have to look at things in perspective. And there's our 1118. And I don't want to hang around at 1118. I said 20. Don't try and get greedy. And some of y'all may have even done better than that. Some of y'all may have got 30 pips. But we caught 26 pips, 25 pips. Not bad trading. Hey, Kevin says he picked up 17 pips on the Eurodollar scalps. Thanks, Polly. Yeah, this is the reason I love trading Euro, because you get this nice back and forth action, and it's very liquid. So you're going to be able to get in and out without getting, because if you're scalping, you have to be in a very liquid market so that you can move. You're not giving up 3 pips to get in. I mean, like let's say 3 or 4 pips, like 4 pips, 3 or 4 pips to get in, 3 or 4 pips to get out. Well, heck, you don't have anything left then. You see what I'm saying? So the reason I came up with that, the 1120, is because 1118, and you can't think that the market's going to stop. So could we dip a little bit lower? Yeah. But the 1118 is a key level. We talked about this yesterday. It was a breakout level. So they were coming back to the breakout. But I'm not going to be trying to, like they said, I'm not be trying to pick up, nickels and dimes in front of the bulldozer. So it dips and then it turns around and races back up to 30. No, I'll just pick up right before that. And like Kevin did, he grabbed himself 17 pips right in the Eurodollar. That's nice change. And, you probably weren't in that trade. Not even, I think maybe if the trade you took, you're probably only in that trade for 45 minutes. That's some very nice pocket change. But once again, like I said, I'm taking it in an overall perspective that I believe we're going lower, and I believe the upside is limited. Like I said, if I put on the trade, just so you have an idea of the way I trade, if I put on the trade yesterday at 28, I'd have been up, down, up, down, up, now down. I'm down, and now I'm like, okay, woohoo, I'm up 7 pips. Whereas with my day trading, the way I approach the market trading with the Euro, well, I already made my money yesterday. I came in, traded it again, and it's all good. So let's go and move back in. We're done with the Euro. We'll have to see what happens. Maybe the wheels fall off the caboose. I doubt it, but the wheels fall off the caboose, and I'm like, oh, God. See 1119. I'm like, oh, no, it's down at 1107. Whatever. That's just not the game I play. I'll look for the Euro to probably, vacillate back and forth, and I'll probably get short again if we make a move up to like. I'd probably get short again on a move to like around 1133. Would not be a bad idea to jump back in again. And so we're going to go and take a look at the dollar CAD before we go on break. And so we talked about this the other day, and we revisited it yesterday. Was people were saying, one of the listeners was asking me, do you think we'll make it to 132? And I really didn't think we'd make it. Wow, Kevin says he was in the trade for 12 minutes. And like I said, the thing is that 17 pips is very good, because if you do that, I'm not saying you can do trading's easy, because it's not. I mean, we've got the crude at 49.13. Trading's easy because it's not. But one of the reasons I like trading the Euro is because you get a lot of back and forth, so you can move in and out of the trade, and you've got the liquidity. So that's what it's such a popular market to trade. But yes, Clevin was in that trade for 12 minutes, so that's awesome. That really is. But we talked about this area, and I told y'all, this was on Monday, I was talking about this. I was saying, hey, this 3083. I know I mentioned it again on Tuesday, but it was on Monday we were talking about it. I go, hey, look, this 3083, and I mentioned it in the chat room, in the Wise Trade chat room. I said, hey, look, this 3083, because they were asking, and I remember coming back into the chat room and saying, hey, we're there. The 3083, we're there, you know, like ring the bell. And so I hope, hopefully maybe some of y'all got short, but at the very least, my thoughts were for the longs to get the hell out of Dodge at 3083. And you can see we did have a very nice, in this case, the wick's not long, but it is after a rally, so I'd have to equate this a little bit more towards a shooting star as opposed to like a gravestone doji, because the wick's a little bit too long for a gravestone doji. It could be longer if it was a shooting star, but overall, very, very nice. And you can see we've had one slow, steady progression lower. That's why you can see the difference in some of the pairs. We've worked lower, but you just don't get, not all the time. I mean, it trades a little bit more actively than it used to, but you don't get the back and forth action like you do in the euro. You know, you sell one area and then you just have to hang on, and then you pick your level to cover. For some day traders, it could have been this 30-38 on the way back, and then the market sits here and vacillates in about a 18 pip trading range for hours and hours, because these are 2-hour bars. Then finally it can't get above 30-38, and so we just start working a little bit lower, a little bit lower. I mean, it'll pay, but I mean, you're going to have to hang on to it. I'm not a fan of trading the dollar CAD. I used to trade it very actively, but I was like, you know, what the heck am I doing that for when I could just trade the crude oil? So that was the main reason why I just kind of like left that alone. Well, there's some good support here, 2909. Well, look at the touches here. You know, that's my style of trading here. You see the touches here, here, here. You see that? This is the way I trade. So moves to 2909, which actually turned out that way. I didn't even notice it. I don't pay that much attention to the dollar CAD anymore. But you can see here the low was 29.15. Once again, it plays into the same thought process with the euro. Don't try and catch the last couple of pips. So look, we were just, you know, I saw it here, but I'm not really paying attention. I'm looking at my line because I've got it dotted, which means there's significance. It's not just a standard level. This is just a standard level. And you can see I haven't even updated my levels up in here in dollar CAD. But the 2909, if I put a dots on there, that means it has significance. And when I'm saying significance, I'm saying is it tells me right off the bat, hey, there's something special about that level. And now you can see here, you see the touches here. We got a battle zone here. We rally them up, we come back to the dotted line, 29.9, a battle zone. We can't hold it, we fall apart. We come back up, we make it above it, but we come back to fight the battle at 29.9. You see that? And then we rally them, we come back to defend 29.9. Once it's defended, we take off. We come back, and where do we run out of gas at? 29.09. We come back again, and we run out of gas just a little bit above before 29.09, probably like 29.12, and we rally back. And when we come back, you probably can't see it, but they had another battle here. Right there, you see that? And then we roll over. So you can see the significance of 29.09. Well, if you've been riding dollar CAD, even from here, don't try and cover it at 29.09. Don't do that. Cover just right before it gets there. Because maybe we don't even get there, and even if we do get there, there might be a hell of buying there, so you want to be doing that. Now you can see, look, here's the euro. It's still working lower. So like I said, for some of y'all that were saying, heck no, I sold it at 11.51, and I'm hanging on for a long move. Hey, congratulations. I'm already out. Congratulations. I mean, I wish I was still in it, you know what I mean? But hey, that's not my style of trading. I mean, if it was if something was happening, then I would have hung on. But here, I'm happy to take my pips out. Maybe it rallies up a little bit higher, get short there. I'm happy. Like I said, I'll just reassess it. It just, honestly, it strengthens my resolve to add a short at 11.33. That's what I'll be doing. I'm going to be shorting 11.33 if we get a rally back up. And it doesn't mean that it'll stop at 11.33 and fall below 11. My point is I've made some nice pocket change here. I'll re-add right back in here at 11.33. And then if it works higher, fine, it works higher. But I've already been paid already on the trade before, so I'll see what happens. Like I said, my whole overall perspective or my whole narrative is that we're going to be working far lower in the euro. In the meantime, I'll just try and make some pocket change. But congrats on those that are still short the euro. Congrats. So we'll take a look at the Aussie dollar, and then we'll take a break. And then when we come back, we'll take a look at gold, SPOOs, crude. So we had a nice, what Trader Dante likes to call it, pin bar here on this, and crude's still falling. We're at 49.07. I think we just got overdone the way crude is, and we'll take a look at that because of the way it sat there for a long time above the 49.50. We'll look at it on a 5-minute chart because you can kind of get a feel for what the market is doing and how it's just kind of sitting there and how the market's really overdone. And then you can see it now it's kind of like working lower. But here on the Aussie dollar, we've got this 74.72. Once again, the Aussie can be a very tough market to trade because, as I told y'all before, it's a trending market. And I tell you what, you get on the wrong side of this market, you're in a world of hurt. Because I've done that before, and I tell you what, you get your rear end run over. Once it starts trending, you just can't get in the way of this thing. It'll just go on for days and days and days and days, and it turns around and starts trending, going south once again for days and days. But with all the action that's taken place over the course of the last few days, we have gotten some, the market running and then falling apart. Like I said, I guess this was on I think there was some PBOC comments. Generally, I don't trade Asia. I'll try and get to bed a little bit early, catch some sleep, and then I don't get up as early as I used to in Europe either. But at times I do. It just depends. Right now, when I'm covering for Blake, I just can't. I mean, I'm missing some opportunities trading crude, and because sometimes what I like to do is when my webinar ends, just like right now what's happening in crude, you're just seeing the market fall apart. And I just simply will not trade. I'll trade euro, but I will not trade crude when I'm doing the webinar. There's just no way. I've done it before. It's a big hassle because I've got one eye on the crude chart and one eye on this, and it's just not going to work. So I'm limited to what I'm able to do, while I'm doing the webinar this week. Other than I don't mind coming in euro, doing a little bit of action, but not in crude. That market, because at the same time I'm looking at crude, I'm looking at RBOB and Brent, and looking at some other things, and I just can't keep my attention on doing the webinar the right way. So it's just, but I will look forward to next week. I'll be back in the saddle, trading crude actively, and not, try to pick up the pieces, because we've had some big moves. By the time we come, because then by the time the webinar ends, it's already the cash open. And usually, I said that before, it happens the same thing in crude. They're either selling into the cash open like they're doing right now, or they're buying into the cash open. And I'll just give you a quick look-see here before we go on break. I'll show you what I'm talking about, just for so we'll stay on thought. See, by the time now, I've already been off the webinar, and you can see here, this happens a lot. They just take it one direction into the cash equity, I mean the open. I'm just saying, you can see how the market just gets going in one direction. Just starts, the same thing here, then we just start marching higher. You see this happen a lot in crude. Whatever the direction is, they usually counter it and take it going the other way, going as we go. We're not into the open yet, but I'm just saying, you can see it's all one-way street. But what I was talking about, and we're getting ready to take the break, is we got above, obviously this is on a 5-minute chart, okay, and you can see here the same thing into the open. They start going in one direction. You see, they took a dip, but you're going in one direction. But as we got above this, I was surprised to see it get up this high. But this 49.50, we got above this 49.50. You can see that the market is just simply languishing. There. You see, we're just not really finding. You see how we're just hanging around this 49.50, which is key. We did get well above it, but I'm saying that was got that spike. But the market is just languishing here, just doing a whole bunch of nothing. 49.50, we had that marked off. It's pretty doggone key. So now you see a big drop here, okay? We make one more last hurrah, and I'm just saying from a trading standpoint. Notice how, look at this. Just show you the way that I look at it. Notice how this 49.50 is key. Notice how in the rebound, they take out the high by just a hair. They stop out some pips, they step out some people, and guess what? We're back here to the 49.50. Once we lose that, although this was enough right here to tell you, hey, they just gunned some stops. They hit the stops just above the high. When it closes back here, that pretty much tells you the deal. But if you want to be on the safe side, wait till it gets below the 49.50 and boom. Very nice fallback, I mean, from a day trading standpoint. And we rally back up. Look where they run out of gas, the 49.50. You see here, that's why I even got this so it stands out. I have it underlined here. I haven't updated the charts at all, other than just to move my prices over. Every day I move my prices over. But you see, that's why I like these zones. They give me a good perspective of the overall picture. So when the market was like here, I'm like, wow, man, pretty impressive. But you know what? When I look at it, it's just languishing. So that's what I'm saying. You got back up here. So when they rally back up, where do they run out of gas? Once again, the 49.50. Once again, it didn't seem like a whole lot, but you know what I mean? That's 18, 20 cents in crude, and you stayed trading it. So we make another run, we can't even make it to the 49.50. And then look, it's all going one direction as we go from the European all the way into the U.S. Open. That's what I'm saying. So normally I at least have an opportunity to trade because I'm not doing the webinar at this point, but I'm covered in for Blake. What I'm saying is, yeah, it has been a little bit tougher to trade crude, and that's why I've been able to do a lot of things in crude. Although I did trade, and generally don't like to, but I've traded, this week I've traded crude in the European session, but some good opportunities, just some of the tendencies, I would say. It's not always that way, but quite often you'll see that, where a market's been going in one direction, and you'll see it in Europe, and then you'll see it counter that direction and stay with that flow as we go into New York. And look, here we are, on our lows. We're continuing that trend. That's why, like I said, it's been a little bit tough because I haven't been able to take advantage of some of these opportunities. Boom, you see? It's just playing out that way. We're going into the New York, and we're countering the direction of Europe. Boom. So it's been a little bit tough for me because I would have been able to take advantage of something like that because it's pretty obvious it's rolling. I know it's going into New York. So, hey, just go with the flow. But it's time to go in and it's time to go and take a break. I only take one break in the 2 hours, so I, grab myself about 10 or 12 minutes on the break. So, so we'll catch y'all back in about 12 minutes or so, and then we'll move into the screws and a little bit closer look into the crude. And thanks for joining us here on the Morning Edge. Blake will be back on Monday, and I'll be back in the saddle trading crude at this time. So thanks again. We'll catch you on a bit.